Hello, everybody. Welcome to the YouTube Live. Nice to see you. The title of the talk today is There Is No You, the Lie You've Been Living. Yeah, so just as a disclaimer before we begin, this isn't therapy. I don't know how many thousands of times I've said that. Therapy is about fixing the story, and this is about going beyond the story. It can be therapeutic, but it's not therapy. On my website, on the reference page, if you feel like you need help in the story, there's many therapists that I've listed that also know about non-duality, all different types of therapists. So you're welcome to check them out if you feel like you need to fix things in the story, which isn't against non-duality. But non-duality is questioning the you and questioning the story. So it's questioning who you think yourself to be. So if you're listening for the first time, or maybe you've been listening many times, my recommendation for how to listen to this talk is to try to listen to the words, but also not listen. So you're kind of like you're going into a meditative state. So you're listening with your whole body. And when you kind of listen with your whole body, it's kind of, you're losing the intensity of just listening to the words. So often a lot of people are very much just heads, just walking heads, and they're just living in the conceptual reality. And yeah, these talks are beyond that. And in the awakening stage, you often have to reawaken the whole body. You reawaken the whole body to find out that you're not the body, and that the body or the sensations of the body are actually not separate from the world that you're experiencing. So you could say the whole body, the whole world is your body. But yeah, if you try to listen from your whole being, which is less mental and means that there's not such an intensity on concentrating on following the words. You're following them, but not following them. And then there can be this like meditative state, I think, that happens when you listen to these talks from that place. It's like an aid in meditation. Yeah. Yeah, and then also, even if you don't do that, just see if you notice if anything changes while listening to the talk. Okay, so what we're often looking for is we're often looking for some mental aspect of us to change. So we listen to a talk on YouTube, for example, or we go to a talk and we want to get an idea fix. And what I mean by that is open our mind to new ideas, because when you do that, you get a high. often. And by pushing your mind and thinking of new things, it can often create, I assume, endorphins in the body, a little bit like eating candy or going for exercise. And it's pleasurable. So we listen to videos to try to get new ideas, and then we get excited about these new ideas that we think we own. But in these talks, it's not actually about the ideas. There is an element to that, and it's good to have conceptual clarity and to understand what's being talked about. But that will come if you keep repetitively listening. But the most important part of satsang is meeting in truth. So meeting in stillness. And that's not physical stillness. That's your natural way of being. So it's reawakening a stillness in you. And in satsang, it becomes like a mirror. So the teacher starts it off, or the one at the front starts it off, reflecting to everyone the stillness by speaking from the stillness. And then others begin to resonate with that stillness. So the stillness in them begins to come forward. And when they mirror it to others. And it's like a ping pong effect. It goes from one to the other, to the other, to the other, to the other. And it's just about trying to become sensitive to that in satsang. In a way, it's happening beyond you, so you don't really need to become sensitive to it. But it's having this openness to it. Like an openness that this isn't about you getting mental clarity in the next hour and a half. This isn't about you understanding or you being right or you knowing better than me or you knowing less than me. It's really about an energetic sharing that's happening. And it works, I feel, online. It maybe works stronger when you're in a group. In person. But it works online as well. I know it does because I can feel it when it's happening and when it's not. So it does also work in that way, which is really ironic. Well, not ironic, it's really weird because you're ping-ponging that silence not just from me, but from all the other people that are listening to this talk. So it's a really weird, energetic dance that's happening. It's all yourself in the end. But the more silent that one of you becomes, it then goes on to the others. Like there's a connection in this commitment to this talk. Yeah. Okay, so we begin. I have to remind myself of the title. Let's have a look. There is no you, the lie you've been living. So we think that we're born into a society and that we came from a mother and father. So when I was a kid, I remember imagining, what if my parents never met? Who would I be if my mom met another man? Would I still be Lisa? Who would I be? So that's what we are trained to think, that we are these body-mind mechanisms. So we got these unique characters that come about with these body-mind mechanisms. So Lisa has unique characteristics, just like other people in this talk. Just like other people in this talk. Well, everybody's got these unique characteristics. And we believe that's who we are. So we're a woman, we're a certain height, we're a nationality, an accent, a social class, intelligence, stupidity, our job, our bank balance, our marital status, our kids, the house we live in, the clothes, the way we choose to decorate these bodies. This is who we believe ourselves to be. And we never question that might just be the avatar. Like if you're playing a game, one of these world games, I forgot what they're called, you take on a character with certain characteristics. And we think, it's as if we've done that, but then we've forgotten that we're this body, and we believe we're the game character. So if this avatar isn't who we are, then who is it that we are? What is it that we are? So Ramana Maharshi and Nisargadatta Maharaj would name that big consciousness or awareness. It's actually unnameable what we are, but this is a really great word to call it. So we believe that we're born and that we become alive when we're conceived or when we come out of the mother. I'm not sure when people believe they become alive. Or maybe they believe they're souls that come alive before that. But this teaching teaches that who you are is the big consciousness that was there prior to you being conceived and has never actually taken on the avatar. It is crystal clear, it's pristine, and it's looking through these bodies at a world that it's created. Just like what you do in a dream at night, you dream that you're a body walking around in a dream, but your imagination has created all of it. Well, this consciousness, this big consciousness that you are, has dreamt all of this and is looking through these avatars, these body-mind mechanisms, to experience this world. And it's not that it's even got lost in the dream, because actually consciousness cannot get lost. You cannot get lost. Who you are cannot get lost. It's crystal clear. It's at home and it's perfectly clear. But what's taken stage is this character which has seemingly veiled or hidden that. This character that believes it's real, a little bit like the sky Like if you look up and there's like really dark, deep grey clouds and that's all you've seen your whole life, you wouldn't realize behind that there is this sky, this massive blue sky that goes on and on and on. And yeah, that the character has taken up so much space that it's taken to be real. And what happens in the character is the character is always talking about itself, so it's always making itself something. It's always repeating my body, my story, who I am, what I've done, where I've been, what I'm going to get, where I'm going, what I look like, what others think of me. It's always thinking about me, 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 me. And it's seeking to complete me. It's seeking to make me the biggest and best and most amazing avatar in the universe. But it doesn't realize that. It thinks it's me. And then this creates suffering. So doing this, or this dynamic appearing, it creates suffering because it's too much in focus. You are too much in focus. You are taking up too much room, and the mind kind of goes a bit crazy, going into paranoias, delusions, rages, because it believes this fundamental thought that this is me. It gets paranoid about this me, it gets paranoid this me isn't loved, it gets paranoid this me will lose its money, it gets paranoid that other me's are happier than my me, it gets fearful, it gets rageful, blaming, jealous, and it all becomes so important because this is who you think you are. And the nature of life is going against who you think you are. Because who you think you are is not permanent. Because everything in this world is impermanent. It's always changing and evolving. And who you think you are is something permanent. And you're trying to make it in relationship to a permanent world, to have a permanent job, permanent money, permanent environment, permanent security, permanent body, a non-aging body. And you can't beat life. You can't beat it. You can't beat the wildness of it. You can't control it. And then also you believe that happiness is in your control. So then there's so much effort put into happiness and then so much blame when you are not happy. It's a little hard to... Yeah, so then this paranoia takes hold because you can't hold on to what you're not. It's always changing. You can't hold on to this lie that you've been sold, that you're a permanent entity that stays inside the body. How many times have you changed and then tried to pretend that you haven't changed because you have an idea that you should be permanent, that you shouldn't change? You've always thought this. You're always right wing. You're always left wing. You always have blonde hair because there's some idea that that's the best, to be permanent, to be the same, to always like the same thing. So the lie that you've been living is the lie that you exist inside the body. Whereas directly look now, who are you? Who are you? And what you might begin to see and realize is that you're something that is not movable, that is always here, that's uncontained, isn't limited, is all things and no things. That you are this awakeness that's experiencing everything, but not identified with one thing. When there is this shift from being the character, the lie, to being this awakeness, then there's freedom. There is freedom. So you can investigate right now. Who are you? Who's experiencing Lisa now? And where does this experience start and stop? Does it start inside the body? Outside the body? Is it bound to thoughts? Or are thoughts arising in it? And this really is a love affair. When there is a moving back to the awareness, what happens is the awareness then meets beingness. So Sat Chit Ananda. So that the awareness then meets beingness, the aliveness, life, being and non-being. And then it merges with it. It's like a love affair. The opposites go back together. The awareness that was previously separate, or the big consciousness that was separate, that was inside the body, separate from life, merges with life again. It kind of disappears into life. So there is no awareness limited anywhere. It's not behind, it's not watching, it's not separate, it is all things. And then this is Sat Chit Ananda, and Ananda is bliss or peace of who you are. And this is the love affair when beingness and awareness reunite. Tony Parsons used to call it the constant lover. Yeah, I don't know if he still does. If you want a practice, then it's recommended that you rest in the feeling of I am. Question who you are and hold on to the initial I. If that's really abstract and removed for you and feels really too vague, then you can just repeat I am the words as you breathe in and out. Okay. I feel like before we begin, I'm just gonna have to visit the ladies' room. Yes, if you want to ask a question, then you can raise your hand. And the way that I'll do it is I'll do question, spoken question, and then written question. So you can also write your question in the chat, or you can put it in the Zoom chat, or you can put it in Telegram. If you're in YouTube and you want to join the chat and be able to ask questions, then you can find out how to do that on my website. Okay. I will be just a moment. Okay. So, Graham, you can unmute yourself.
Hey, Lisa.
Hey, Graham. Just one sec, maybe. Let me make sure your audio is going in. If you could just speak.
Hello.
Yeah, great.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know why I put my hand. I don't have a question. I'm trying to come up with a question now. But, what can I ask? I guess just what would you recommend for someone that is like plagued with shame a lot of the time? Like pretty much every situation, most thoughts will just trigger shame.
Yeah.
It just said you haven't spoken. Okay. Um, yeah, so I mean, it's helpful for me to stay out of the mind, but a lot of time I'm getting pulled back into it.
Yeah. Yeah, shame is a tricky one, eh? In terms of Roger's teaching, if you pull your camera down more, it'll look more like I'm looking in the eyes. You know, the further down you're on the screen, the further
But
down,
like, you want me further down?
you further up.
Me further up.
Yeah, that was help you. Maybe your camera doesn't stay. um, yeah. So in regards to shame, from the perspective of Roger Castillo and Ramesh Balsekar teaching, they were my teachers. The opposite to shame is pride. So whenever there's shame, there's also pride. So pride can be projected outside. Pride can be projected inside, but you're playing those games and you're allocating somebody who is better than you and somebody who's worse. Your mind is playing the up-down game, like you are bad and they are good. They are better than and you are not as good as. So it's like you're playing in both realms, but your mind is projecting outward. So it's recognizing the game in every area of life. So, for example, if you took a father figure when you were growing up, like that relationship between you two, like if he was always the all-knowing, the right, the good one, and you were the bad one, or there was another sibling that was the bad one, just noticing those dynamics playing out. And it's not pushing them away, because the more that you push away, the more they'll stick to you. It's like pushing away is like lighting a fire under them. So it's not trying to push those feelings away. You're equally not trying to bring them close, because the answer isn't being prideful. The answer isn't something in the story. So the answer isn't being good as opposed to being the bad one. So as well, you don't want to pull towards you being good. You also don't want to push away being bad. So it's more this moving into this witness perspective. And that's not so much an activity, because who would do that? But it might feel like an activity because there is a you that is being something. So it might feel like the opposite of doing something, because in that you rest right here and watch and allow it to play out without giving it any fuel either way. In order to do that, you have to recognize it playing out in the outside world and in the internal world. So when you're admiring someone, as well to when you're throwing somebody down in the mud or throwing yourself down in the mud. The admiring one is harder to see because it feels pleasurable and natural, maybe. So that is the recognition part. But know that there's nobody recognizing, because the real antidote to shame is to realize that everything is God. There is nobody that did bad, and there is nobody that did good. All of it is of God, is of the divine. It's not a personal thing. And this is where it really becomes a love affair, when nobody is the villain and nobody is the savior. It's all one movement of energy, so there's nobody that's sinned and there's nobody that's a saint. And that happens by the detachment from the mind, detachment from the personality. So you move to the witnessing and you see that all of it is happening and that nobody is doing any of it. That all of this is appearing. Thoughts are appearing, feelings are appearing, energies are appearing, And who are they appearing to? Where are they appearing to? You know, we don't even know if thoughts or energies are inside the body as opposed to outside. It's only a story that tells us that. We don't really know they come from the past, that there's a continuous you that has shame. So when everything is really given to God or given to the divine or whatever we call it, the big consciousness or beingness, when everything goes there, then it's true forgiveness of everything. And you embrace every aspect of yourself, including the sinful external, the apparent sinful external. And this is non-doership, and this is what Roger and Ramesh, mostly taught. That there isn't a doer inside of here. Who is the doer? So also, whatever I prescribed in this conversation, it has to be really recognized that there cannot be somebody prescribing. Who am I telling you that? Who is the prescriber but God, but the divine? This is the, in India, the role of the guru is that you see the guru as what they are, which is Brahman, but not the body. So it's not Ramana that's Brahman. It's not the body that's Brahman. It's not Anandamaya Ma that's Brahman, that's God. That's what our mind is always confusing. It's the energy of the divine is coming through these apparent body-mind mechanisms to speak truth. But it's not theirs. Who are they? If the divine is truly coming through them, then they're nobody and nothing. So it's really recognizing the impersonality of it all. That the teacher comes or the guru comes and speaks to you and tells you these things, but it's actually your own self. Just like in a dream at night, if a guru suddenly appeared in your dream at night, telling you that you're asleep in your bed and to wake up, it's your own energy as the dreamer of the dream, which is what you've always been. And now you're having the grace of dreaming the truth. But it's not waking Graham up. This is where language and everything is so confusing, because Graham doesn't exist. He's never existed. What you are is this boundless energy that is all things and no things and watching itself. So for shame to really go, that's to be the absolute recognition of who is the creator here. Who is the doer?
Hmm. Yeah, the body doesn't feel good, but there's a lot happening. Wow. Thank you.
Yeah, just notice that the mind reports the body doesn't feel good. How how do you know that? Who knows that? So, for example, your dog in the background, I just see their feet moving. so, so the dog in the background, like if she or he feels pain or they feel pain, they don't know that they feel pain. The body will move to try to adjust and not experience the pain, but they don't know they're experiencing pain and they don't know it's good or bad. So therefore it's totally accepted. There's nobody in resistance to it. So it's disappearing into a black hole. So it's like the pain is there and not there. It's a totally different experience to feeling pain. So it's just noticing. So the body doesn't feel good, and who knows that? Who tells the story about it? And that one that tells the story about it isn't a reliable source. It is part of the ego. Doesn't mean to ignore it necessarily, but it's just noticing that that's the storyteller. So if you go beyond that storyteller and really go into the sensations, the pain is almost invisible in a way. It's there and not there. So my dog Khaleesi, who died last year, had she had no cartilage towards the end in the back of her legs. So her back legs were straight rather than how dogs' back legs go in a triangle. They were almost straight, and that's what killed her in the end. Her knee popped out, and she lived with that for years. The vet actually said that she had it since puppy. Her legs were deformed, and they also said it was agony. And I now know, I can now recognize that she was miserably in pain her whole life. I thought it was dominance and being a street dog, but I can recognize now from then saying that it was pain. But I know the experience there. I think the experience there is, that she didn't really have the pain. The pain belonged to its rightful owner, which was life. So therefore she could be in immense pain and then she could instantly fall asleep, and then she could instantly jump up and be like, hey, even though she's in pain and she's like excited and yeah, free. Because it's a different way of experiencing life. And this is what we're going back to, is this invisibility, this nothingness where everything is disappearing instantaneously into the black hole of what we are. And this is where it stops being personalized, and it's a very different experience. It's total acceptance of the experience.
I'm so sorry that you lost Khaleesi.
Yeah, it's about a year ago now, actually. So it's quite a while ago. But it's such an intense relationship, 12 years, day in, day out. So she still feels very, her image feels very present still, It's different from when somebody dies that you don't see everybody every day.
Yeah, I can only imagine. My dog is like, especially lately, is just nonstop companion every day, all
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I really felt what you said, like there was some space, I think, from the pain. And then once I included it fully, it just
Yeah.
changed.
Yeah.
There was a story being told about it. Yeah.
Mm. Nice. Thanks, Graham.
Thanks.
Okay, so just do the written question now. Oh, it says, thank you, Lisa. Okay, see if there's one in Telegram. This is from Chris. Do you have any thoughts of wisdom when one is trying to decide whether to commit to a significant other whom is not currently seeing through the dream of separate self? What happens in a committed relationship for conversations, values, choices versus really loving the other person for who they are? Thanks, Chris, for your question. If you're here in Zoom now, you can put your hand up and then I can answer while looking at you. Okay. Yeah, you don't have to unmute yourself. Oh, I lost you. If you could just put your hand up again, Chris. Yeah, you don't have to unmute yourself while I'm answering. If you feel to add something, you're welcome to. It's so beautiful, the light in your car. Ultimately, who is the other but yourself? So whatever you see in the other is yourself, not yourself as Chris, but yourself as big consciousness or whatever we call it. So whoever you look at is that freedom, is that presence. And when you're looking from that place, then everything is that. Everything is empty and full simultaneously. Everything is that. So they are that. So there is no ego, there is no mind, there is no person there. So it doesn't matter what they say or don't say, what they do or don't do. That's from the ultimate perspective. So it's like every word that they utter is the divine. even if it is very materialistic or invested in this mainstream way of thinking, is the divine. Every action, every move. On the human level, though, when you're waking up and you're still believing that you are someone, then it could be easier to have someone to reflect back the ego with you. You know, to be able to look at their dynamics and your dynamics. And to be able to bask in this together, to be able to share this journey together. But if they're still in the ego mind, whether they're into this subject or not, and you're still in the ego mind, then there's going to be the equal amounts of clashing. Just because somebody's into this subject doesn't mean that they're more free than somebody that isn't. So it's just that you can reflect back about it and you can be on the path together, which is, I suspect, easier. But there's still going to be clashes of the ego when the people in the relationship believe that they're individuals and that their happiness can be found in the other person. And that's going to create, fire at points, intense pain at points, because the other person cannot complete you and you cannot complete the other person, no matter how much you try. You cannot give them happiness. You cannot give them safety or stability. You can be a better ego at doing that and a worse ego at doing that, but you can't ultimately give them that. And they can't for you either. While there's belief that they can, then there's always going to be a certain amount of heartbreak in the relationship and disappointment in the relationship. But if your heart is set on freedom, then every part of that will show the illusions of the ego and create deeper and deeper insight. If your heart is really set on this. If your heart is more set on making the other person happy, then that's what will manifest. And it's a totally impersonal thing as to where your heart goes, because there isn't really a Chris. There is energies arising in every moment, and what you are is the totally impersonal consciousness that's experiencing it all and creating it all. Thanks, Chris. Okay, Julie, you can unmute yourself, please.
Hi, Lisa. Thank you.
Hey, yeah, pleasure.
Um, don't know what came over me. I never raised my hand. Uh, I think I have a question relating to plant medicine.
Yeah.
I've heard another non-dual teacher speak kind of disparagingly about it, and I was on a retreat earlier this year, and I on a uh, in one ceremony I went to the void, and even though I wasn't there, but in this experience of the void, you were there, or at least I had the thought, oh, like the thought arose, this is Lisa Cairns. It was just your energy, your rhythm, just you, it's just you. Um, so I suppose I'm just curious as to what your thoughts are about this approach and um, whether you can give me any insight as to whether that might be whether it's a helpful approach for this particular dynamic here.
Yeah, I can't tell if plant medicine is good or bad for you in particular. Yeah, my experience with plant medicine or with mushrooms or LSD is that for some people it can be really beneficial on the spiritual path, and for some people it it can be very challenging and not so appropriate. And yeah, that's really individual. Yeah, and you have to find the energy that wants it or not wants it within your own being. But what I've noticed from plant medicine and mushrooms is that when you take them, they're often eroding self-awareness or the separate self. So because they're taking off that lid of the you that's controlling, then it allows the shadow to come up, or it allows to bask in that endless nature of what you are. So it can go either way. And if there's the capacity to hold the shadow and to let the shadow out and let the body, energetically release that, then it can be a really healing and deep experience. And then sometimes, even if there's shadow in the body, there can just be the basking in what you are. So there's just nobody there. And there's just spaciousness and freedom and aliveness. Sometimes it can go in and out of that. And then that recognition, from that can be like an awakening experience. And then the recognition that that is what you are. So then after that in life, there's a knowing of what you are. There's even though there might be separation, there's that knowing from that apparent awakening. You then know that what you are is beyond all phenomenal experience. You are that which is still, which is present, which is alive. But I don't mean to glorify it because, being a teacher and then being on this spiritual journey since I was in my late teens, I've experienced it really, creating many problems for some personality types. But problems, the way we look at life is in a certain way, the way we've been trained. And so what we call problems or not problems is in determination of what we think life should be. Like, so even in saying that, like really ultimately there's no problems. So if it really messes up somebody's life, in a way that is perfection. Like this mentality of problems versus no problems or good versus bad is all part of the mind and isn't reality. But yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Julie. Okay, thanks. Okay, any written questions? Let's have a go to. Okay, there's no more written. Oh, somebody is writing. It says. Give them a moment. Baptiste. I think that this is Bruno. Hey, Bruno. Baptiste. Hi, Lisa. When we say awareness creates experience, is it out of will or does it simply happen out of control as a mere automatic expression of the dreamer's ultimate nature? I would say the second, like in a dream, even lucid in the dream. I still don't know how the dream manifests. Yeah, you can discover this from watching, from sitting and watching. What is the experience? Is it appearing spontaneously or is it appearing with something controlling it? Because who you are is everything. So you'll be able to find that mechanism of somebody controlling it or something controlling it or something preordaining it, if that were a reality. So I would say the second. Yeah. But it's something that you need to find for yourself, knowing that there's nobody there that could find oneself. Like, who would find oneself? Who would that be? Yeah, nice. Thank you for your question. Okay, we go to Peel. I think, is that how you say your name? Or Pel?
Sorry.
That's
Hi.
okay. Hey, how do you say your name?
Pele is, oh, it's not even my name, but Pele is how most people say it. Um, my name's Joseph, if that makes it easier. Either way. Oh, this is weird. I don't want to look at myself. Hold on. Hi.
Hi.
Uh, I so I have actually like a lot of questions. Um, I'm having a little trouble putting one together just at the moment. I've kind of only recently uh, stumbled on to non-duality, and it was actually through a video of yours from like 13 years ago or something that a friend of mine shared with me. And I don't know. I mean, I tend towards kind of the dramatic way of looking at things. So I don't know. It just seemed to have a really big impact on me. And um, yeah, so I've been really digging into the subject, and I've been watching a lot of your old videos and stuff, and I don't always understand it, but it's very interesting, and I do get it, I think, to a pretty good extent, but there are moments where like I'm really afraid, like really afraid, and it feels a little bit like, I don't know, going insane or dying or
Yeah.
and I realize we've never spoken, so as best I can, I mean, I'm not like a lunatic. Um, but it's just this subject in general is just having a pretty deep effect on me.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so in Sufism, they have these wandering, I've forgotten what they're called. Yeah, wandering Sufis. There's a specific name for them, but I've forgotten their name at the moment. And they are always considered divinely mad. So there is an element of going mad with this subject, but it's mad with love rather than mad with hate or mad with fear. So you are going mad, but mad with love. So it's like fear is right next to that love. It's what's like keeping the love away? So what's keeping the love buried is the fear. The person that feels like it's separate, feels like it exists. As soon as that's created, that's a very fearful world it lives in, because deep down you know that you can't control the fate of that body or the fate of all the other bodies around you. And that is terrifying, to not be able to control this life you've seemingly been given. So as soon as this separate person begins, the idea of it is very fearful. So often when we get into this subject, the fear was already there, but it gets exacerbated because you're really poking on that one that is afraid. So what I would recommend for you is to do body work. Have you ever heard of me speak about something called TRE? I'd really recommend, if you can get motivated, to start practicing that. It's once you begin to get going, it's not as much as effort as it is in the beginning. You just have to get over the hump. And this will help the body process that fear. And then continue listening to satsang and questioning who you are. Also, if you're new to this subject, you could do one-on-one sessions with a teacher to help them point more at the illusions that are in the way. But it's not a necessity, but it's just a recommendation. Remember, in the end, we're afraid of our own self. There is nothing that isn't you. Yeah, thanks, Joseph. Yeah, nice to meet you on here. Dervishes. Thank you, Bettina. That word escaped me. Dervishes. Okay. So go to Ramona. You can unmute yourself.
Hello.
Hello, Ramona.
I thought it would be the ending.
Is it the end time now? I've changed my
Think s-
time, so I don't even know where we're at.
how long do you do of a talk normally?
An hour and a half.
I shouldn't tell you, then I could just skip the time. But I think this is actually the ending of your talk. So then I will just share with you that you should really definitely try to eat chocolate and eat a berry at the same time.
Have you ever tried chocolate and crisps at the same time?
No,
Like ready salted crisps? Oh, God, this is so
no,
tasty.
oh no.
My friend taught it to me when we were traveling and we had no money, when I was really young. And it really fills you up as well, all that fat.
Yeah, it doesn't sound tasty.
Oh, no, it is.
Okay, I promise I try if you try the berries.
Okay.
Yeah. What are we gonna do? You want to end, or you want me to still do a little question that I had?
You can do a little question that you had.
Well, it's not very little, really.
That's the truth of it, isn't it? That's the problem. It's not a 3-minute question.
Um, no, it's not. I don't know. It was more of a sharing maybe. But yesterday I was it's a bit of a loop of the last conversation that I had with you. Yesterday I watched Tony, and he said something he says more often, but it was a long time I watched the YouTube, and he said, there's no one sitting here. I see no one sitting in this room. And always when it's that it's like so concrete, in the same way when I asked you about memory, and not just the concept of memory or the concept of there not being, like, it easily turns into a concept. But if I ask you about, or if I refer to a memory that you and I had that actually isn't real, or if right now there's no one in this room, that's so um uh
Relaxing.
yeah, I don't know, it's I don't know if I sound relaxing. I'm like but um yeah, it's like there's no way to go. It's I don't know, very concrete of an example, and actually it feels like there's some and there's a resistance. So if if we have the example of you and me having a shared memory and then it's not real, then something comes up that says, what? But we did meet in Berlin, in Germany, or we did meet in Spain. And if someone says there's no one in this room or in this Zoom, it's there's something hearing and something goes, "Rah!" Yeah, that's my sharing. I don't know if that makes.
And then there might be an imagination that say like 2,000 people are listening now. Or going to listen. There's 60 people listening now or something.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
So just notice all the performance that you're doing for these 60 people. Or if there is any performance for the 60 people. And when you're performing for 60 people, then there are 60 people. But when you're not performing for 60 people, then there is no people. There is only what is. So when you see yourself as something, then you see the others as something by default. When you see yourself as nothing, then everybody by default becomes nothing. because it's always you in relationship to. You can't see yourself as nothing, can see them as something. Because who would be seeing them as something? So when you're really here, and there's nobody, there's nothing happening. It reminds me of the story of Alma, where there was this man that used to come into the ashram, and he used to go for a big poop in the middle of the ashram every day, and all the people thought he was insane and mad and got so angry with him. You know, this man comes in and he does a big poop in the middle of the ashram foyer, not foyer but outside. You know, they're all like, you know, he can't do that. Even though the dogs come in, you know, in India and do poops there all the time, and the cats, they're like this man, and you know, they would shoo him away, and they'd get so mad at him that he just would poo anywhere. And the gossip was that he was mentally ill, that he was insane, that he was a bad person. And then one day, Alma caught them doing this, and Alma shooed them all away and was like, he's more sane than any of you. And I'm not saying everyone should now go and do a poop in the foyer.
Yes, that's what
The mind concludes. Yeah, the mind's like,
Yeah.
I want to be the most enlightened. Okay, I've got to go to Alma's ashram and do a poop in the foyer or in the gardens. And it's not about that, but it's that, you know, that innocence. You know, more than likely that guy had no self-awareness, you know, was really, really present. And so there was no people, and he was off his mind on love. And so therefore, you know, pooping in the ashram was a nothing. It could be the opposite. It could be that he's mad from fear or hate or anger. But when you're mad from love, then it's like total freedom. And sometimes when you have these awakenings, you really lose all self-awareness. So therefore, you know, pooping in the middle of a foyer would be a nothing. You wouldn't notice it at all. And you wouldn't even really notice everybody getting angry with you. You know, it was just the desire arising, and then the outcome. The desire arising to go for a poop, and then the outcome. I mean,
Yeah,
this is.
I'm trying to sort of make sense of that story, because if there's no one in the room, yeah, poop, Lena. But is there no one in the room? That doesn't necessarily mean that you go that there's no boundaries, or you don't make a fight, or you don't make a
but actually, when you have
or that you don't acknowledge
but
you don't acknowledge.
Yeah, but sometimes when you have these awakenings, your working mind stops. You know, Ramesh called it like the working mind, the thinking mind. So with the thinking mind, the working mind goes, and that can be for a period of time. Or some people live like that forever. Like Ananda Mahima, she couldn't even wash her own face or feed herself because she couldn't get her hand up to her lips. She was so, you know, spacious and wide, she couldn't get the body to move. For some people, the working mind comes back, and there is some form of self-awareness that comes back in order to function in this society, but some not. But the quality of it in the moment is the same as that there is nobody there. So what happens in Tony Parsons is there is nobody there in both cases. But in Tony Parsons, for example, the reason that he doesn't do a poop in front of the audience is because there's some form of working mind there that has the ability to distinguish not to do that. Whereas in this guy, he was like a, you know, like there was no ability to distinguish there.
Mm.
You know, if you've got life circumstances where you live in a more complex system, then certain amount of working mind comes back. But if you live more like a sadhu, then there can be less working mind that comes back. So, but in both cases, and particularly in that example, is that there is nobody. They're not seeing themselves as someone or the other as someone, but just Tony has the ability to work out that this is inappropriate, but there's no self there, so it doesn't matter.
Mm.
There's nobody there.
Yeah, I think I'm sorry. If the most of I think it gets translated over here like a robot looking out, something like an emptiness, but that still refers to a sort of a center. And it feels like what he's saying is yeah, well, I've heard it many times, but there's just literally no one.
Mm.
And and I don't know why, but if the sentence "there's no one" is heard so often, but when he says "there's no one in the room,"
Mm.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. Yeah, thanks, Ramona.
Thank you.
Yeah, Thomas, I think we're going to end now. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. We can speak next week. Yeah, okay. So for those in Zoom, you are welcome to stay, and I would just go around and acknowledge everybody that is there. And yeah, if you're in YouTube, we're going to end it now. So thank you to everybody in YouTube. It's really beautiful, yeah, sharing with you. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I really, really wish you everything, not one or two or three things, but every God bless thing.